Hey there, welcome to the podcast. As you can see, I have a guest with me today. This is Sarah Ghirardo. She works over at Service Titan, Director of Pro Content. I've been knowing Sarah now for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. How long has it been, Sarah?
Well, it's been like 5 or 6, 7 years.
Yeah, she used to work at a company called Service Champions, was out of Northern California. There's actually two Service Champions. I was working with the Southern bunch out of Southern California, but then we ended up getting connected with the Northern bunch and built a website for those folks, and Sarah was heavily involved in that. She then shortly thereafter moved over to Service Titan, where she's been for about 5 years now, the Director of Pro Content. Tell us what that means exactly, Director of Pro Content.
Yeah, so as you know, content is king and content has a lot of value. Our team makes email and direct mail templates, and then we teach the trades marketing to not only help like adopt and utilize the software that they're within, but to really understand how to be an expert marketer in the trades.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Yeah, so just to help the audience understand, Service Titan is a CRM heavily involved in the trades, HVAC, plumbing, but also garage doors. And what did you say, like 40 different
Electrical,
verticals?
yeah, there's a bunch of different we're into a lot of different aspects of the industry, of different industries.
Yeah, and they've
Roofing.
developed some modules. I don't, maybe modules not the exact right word, but they've got something called Marketing Pro and Sales Pro. These are add-ons to their product that help people with their marketing side and of course sales side with Sales Pro. And that's where Sarah's expertise is, and where she works within the Service Titan ecosphere. And she's an expert on email marketing. She's also an expert on generative AI. So I'm excited to get into that with you a little bit. A lot of people say they're AI experts, and then you
Oh
start
yeah.
talking to them, and they just they're really not. But I think we're going to find that you actually are. But let's start with email. Let's
Yeah.
start with email. So, email in 2025 almost feels like ancient technology. It seems like two steps above, like a stone slate with a chisel, but it's not. What do you
Yeah.
say it with this?
Well, I think like everyone wants to say email is dead or direct mail is dead or whatever is dead. And so then it turns people away from those channels or those tactics, right? But really, email is your owned audience. So like it's yours. You can go in and be a gold miner, is what I like to say. So your job as just a marketer in general is to build audiences and personas that want to interact with your brand because they either love it or they've used your service or they haven't used your service, right? Like your job is to create something out of nothing sometimes. But the best thing about email is that the audience is either engaged with you or needs to be nurtured. So there's a nurture and there's a rehash to everything that you're doing inside of your business. And I think that it's underserved and underutilized in some areas in some companies because they're like, we don't know what to do. But all you're doing is just digging into your data.
I think you're underselling that because in my experience, the qualifiers that you just used, I think it's a little under. No, no, no. It is massively underused, and there are a ton of companies that are essentially not using email at all.
Yes, I know. And then they're using it and they're blasting everyone. And it's just not how you email. It's not how you market. It's about personalization. It's about taking your skill set to another level. And I understand that some of you are business owners and you might not have the time to set up campaigns. And inside of Marketing Pro, what we recently created was a program called Autopilot. And we did this because marketing is hard. Like, I'm going to be the first to say it and let the cat out of the bag. Marketing is hard, and not everybody has time. And as a small business owner, sometimes you're just like, this is the last of my worries right now. And so, what we did was we created this program called Autopilot, and it has like we can see where you're leaving money on the table inside of Service Titan. And what we did was we created campaigns and attached audiences to them for you that would help you pick up that money that you're leaving on the table. So think about like creating a brand, like starting your brand awareness immediately out of the gate. So here's a welcome email, here's a thank you email, here's a let's go after those unsold estimates, let's go after those open invoices, right? And the reason why we want to make marketing more automated and efficient is because it's going to make your business have automated ROI. And the goal in business is to be more efficient and more automated.
So
So, like, that's what
if
we're doing.
somebody was listening to this and they're saying, yeah, it makes sense, email, um, but that sounds like a lot. And they said to themselves, well, I want to jump into the pool, but I don't want to do a cannonball. I want to just kind of put a toe or a foot in the water. What do you think is the biggest, fattest apple on the lowest branch of the tree in terms of if you were only going to use email for one thing, what would you do?
I would do unsold estimates.
Unsold estimate. So these are
Yeah.
people that you went out, you tried to sell a sit no sale, basically.
Right. Right.
And
Yep.
give me a couple stories about what you've seen in terms of your customers that excelled with that.
Well, I mean, like from experience, I have had plumbers out to my house, and I will say that they're not the, typical like service Titan user. Like this is because I rent a home, so I have a property management that sends a plumber out, right? There is no follow-up after the experience. There is no experience to begin with, but then there is no follow-up to the experience. So what I notice is that like we're just leaving money on the table and even in some of the smaller businesses it's like if you just had a drip campaign that says hey thank you for letting me come I'm like if you need more information about the estimate that I left blah 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 right like it's
Okay,
just a simple
so
tactic.
using the autopilot function that you just described, how hard or easy how much effort do I need to actually get that up and running?
It's 2 clicks. So our goal in making product is decreasing the clicks to conversion, just like it is when it comes to any marketing. And what we noticed was that it originally took around 68 clicks to create a whole campaign. And our goal was to get it down to 2. Um, and so that's really what we're still continuing to strive towards. Now,
You got one more click you can cut out. You come
right,
on,
I
you can
have
do this.
to.
Get it to
Like,
one.
I would like it to start automatically, right? Like, that's just the goal in product. Like, we make such complicated situations with clicks, right? And then open, like, this call out's coming to you, this pop out's over here, you've got to click to exit. Like, when you're building product, you need to think about like how many clicks they're taking to convert because we are creating conversions as well. And we want to make sure that it is the most efficient and automated within our
Okay.
platform.
So for some of my audience, a lot of my audience is going to be more in the remodeling side of things. We definitely have some of the other trades that you guys really lean heavy into. So if you're listening to this and you're in those trades, there's no excuse for you to not be on Service Titan. So get with the program. But for those who are not, and maybe it's not quite as good of a fit at the moment, so they might hear that and go, "Oh, great, bully for you, 2 clicks." But I'm not
Right.
on that program. I'm on a different CRM. Um, let's talk about just the benefit of this a little bit more because I really want to encourage people to be willing to put some effort into it, even if it's going to take more than 2 clicks. You know, I was going to say I used to work with dentists. That's not really true. I used to have a good friend of mine back in Texas. This is about 15 years ago. Who was he owned dental practice. He wasn't actually a dentist,
Hmm.
and they have a term in that industry called file cabinet millionaires. Have you ever heard this?
Mm-mm. No, but I love the dentist practice like mindset. Like they will always book you before you leave, right? Like they've got a practice going on. So tell me more.
So yeah, so here's what a file cabinet millionaire is as it relates to dentists. It means that somebody came in and they got a treatment plan proposed to them. They're like, okay, you need I don't know what dental things are, root canal or remove your old silver fillings and get the new ones that don't kill you or whatever.
Great.
And then people don't commit on the spot. Maybe it was a money thing, maybe it was a scared thing, maybe it was a whatever thing. And so they've got all of these unsold treatment plans sitting in their file cabinets. Now, it might be a digital file cabinet, but for a funner term, file cabinet, you literally have $1 million just sitting there. And so we would encourage them, hey, let's put together an email campaign, let's put together a mailing campaign, and actually just go back again instead of never going back again.
Yeah.
How about we just try?
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about here, too. So we've got file cabinet millionaire dentists, but we also have file cabinet millionaire garage door companies and HVAC companies and certainly remodeling companies.
Remodeling companies, everyone, roofing companies, everyone has money that they're leaving on the table and they're not rehashing. And rehashing is just like reaching out to them again, right? Like, what does it take? It takes 21 impressions to make one conversion on to make a phone call, right? And sometimes in some industries it takes 48 hours and then you've lost the estimate. Like there's so many time constraints and time delays and time, like everything is about time, which is fun because time is non-existent, it is scarce, and it is infinite. So like we are the ones that are creating this like time funnel. And we have a job to make sure that our customer experience is elevated no matter what industry we're in and serving our customers where they are at. So that's why I would use email. And I would also layer it. You want to layer things like, yes, I'm an email expert, but really I'm an audience expert. I'm about like bringing out the different segmentations that we need to hit inside of our advertising and marketing funnels.
Yeah, we're gonna play a little game here. It's a guessing game. You ready?
Okay.
This is based on my own opinion, so you're gonna have to try to guess what my opinion is. So, good luck. Ready?
I'm in.
What do you think the number one reason is that somebody gets an estimate but does not move forward?
You know, I've actually been going through a lot of sales stuff, and from my perspective, personally, it's the person that's
Okay,
selling it.
that is a good guess. That is a good guess, and if this was the Family Feud, I would give you the first strike. Not
Okay,
that it's just not the number one answer. It's probably like two or three. It's not unimportant. There's a bigger one. I'll give you one more guess, or you can just say, tell me.
just so tell me.
A lot of people, when I ask that question, will give the answer you did. A
Okay.
lot of other people will give the answer, well, they can't afford it. It's
Oh,
too expensive. But
yeah.
neither of those are actually it. Here's what it really is. The number one answer is it's a lot more money than I was expecting, which is different than I can't afford it. I can afford it. I just I thought it was going to be $3,000 and you're asking for six. I thought it was going to be $18,000 and you're asking for 25. I thought it was going to be $300 and you're asking for $500. The amount is inconsequential. It's the expectation because look, we're talking about things that people do not buy on a regular basis. It's like
Yeah.
how much does a new air conditioning system cost? And your frame of reference might be something from years and years ago, or it might be from an ad you saw for a 59.95 system, and now they're coming in at 12.8 or something. So people just freeze and they say to themselves, and they don't say to the salesperson, "Oh, I got to check with my brother. He's an accountant. I don't know. I got to talk over with my wife." They give all these different kinds of excuses, and the salespeople get frustrated. They're like, "Oh, they're just stupid and broke." So, if you understand that, because here's another thing that I see when you say, "Hey, go rehash,"
Hmm.
and people are like, "Yeah, but if they didn't buy, they bought from somebody else." How do you know?
Yeah, you don't know that. You're
How much does
making
it
the
cost to send an email?
assumption.
How much does it
Yeah,
cost to send an email?
nothing. Like, I mean, like, really, when it's built into a CRM like this, like it's like a third of the cost of a channel. So it doesn't
Yeah.
cost a lot of money to send an email, and it costs more money to get a new customer, right? Like 5 times more. So, like, we're always chasing the shiny new when we're not digging into the gold mine that's like literally inside of any CRM that we have. And when you look at any job type, those are the ones that you can nurture and rehash because either a conversion did happen or it did not happen. And a conversion is they picked up the phone, they called you, they made a purchase, they picked up the phone, they booked you. Like there are conversions all throughout the entire customer journey that we could talk about, and it doesn't matter what trade you are in. Your job as a business owner is to nurture and rehash all of them because that
So
customer journey is the experience.
So content is king. That was, I'm quoting you,
Yeah.
trademark, 2025 Sarah. Okay, so we've got this rehash system going out, and let's assume that we're going to send a rehash email campaign out for, I don't know what you would recommend. Here's what I would recommend. I'd recommend sending it out. Let me round this off. Forever. Like there's literally no reason to not just continually do it. We could have a discussion about how often, once a week, once a month, whatever. I don't want to have that conversation. Here's what I want to have a conversation. What should you be sending them as part of your rehash? What types of content? I've got an idea. I'd like to hear your idea.
So you can send them, so obviously they said if it was an unsold estimate, they obviously said no, right? Or they need to think about it, or they need to wait about it, or they need to talk to someone, like all the normal excuses, and plus the one that you said, like it's not without of my budget, it's just not what was in my original thoughts. And like all of that is aligned to fear and like psychology. And we worked to get over those objections earlier, but it also means that they didn't have enough content to understand the value. Now, some people will just automatically be like, no. And other people will be like, I just didn't understand what this person was saying to me when they were in the home. And so our job as marketers is to say, well, for that specific job type, can I send you more information about it? And so maybe I put a blog in. Maybe I put something that will boost my traffic, or maybe I put like there's just all sorts of different types of content that I can put into to really educate and not just sell. I'm not trying to pick up the deal. I'm trying to say, hey, like let me give you more information. We created templates with price book items. So, like, say they went out there, they wanted to sell a capacitor. Well, no one knows what a capacitor does, and they can research that on the internet, and they're like, I can buy this on Amazon. I
Yeah,
can
it's
replace it
$24.
myself. Yeah. And so, like, we made a template where the price book item is in there. It explains what's happening, like why they would want to purchase it, why, like, you have to give them more validators. And so that's what I would do with my content is really look at the educational pieces that are already created with like either how can I drive them to my website or how can I drive them to an area of conversion.
Yeah, I love that. Educational. Here's some things that I would add. Level 10, one of our main things is identity, who we are, how we're different, why we're better, what people can expect when they do business with us. Thank you.
You're
Shout out
welcome.
to the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go in there and read, I don't know, the section on identity, it's about 70 pages long. And there's actually some service champions examples in there. This is what we want. We just want to make sure we're reinforcing constantly the identity. Also, I think these follow-up emails, a great time to showcase some social proof, whether that be online reviews, video testimonials, or whatever fits into that category. So I love it. I want to give you the last word on email. After you have the last word on email, I want to transition to the AI part of this.
Sure.
You ready to transition?
I'm ready to transition. Yeah, I mean, I can talk about anything, so you just go for
Yeah,
it.
okay. Well, let's talk about generative AI expert. That's what you told me you are, generative AI expert. It's a pretty lofty title to attach to yourself. I think you can deliver. But tell me, what does it mean, first of all?
Yeah, first off, I don't think you're really I think expert is always taken loosely, right? Especially when it comes to AI because it's changing every day. Just like having being a marketing expert. I go to bed knowing everything that I can, and then I wake up the next day and I know nothing because everything's changed. So, like, expert is the person that is taking the time to advance their career and learn as much as they can in the moment to make things happen for them, is what I would define myself as.
I'm just gonna give you the title
Well,
expert.
I'm
I'm not
taking the
worried.
title. Don't worry about
I'm
it.
I'm not worried about that. Here's what I want to know. Okay, you're the expert here. You're definitely the expert between you and me. So, what is,
So,
tell me about this because you talked about prompt engineering. I think this is really a big part of AI. I think it's something that's not very well understood. So why don't you talk about that if you don't mind? That's the expertise I want to hear about.
yeah, so prompt engineering, it's basically marketers have a brain of that are full of keywords, right? And it's a different brain than a business owner, like if they aren't a marketer, or it's a different brain of an installer. Like everybody has different brains in the way that they think, but marketers think in keywords because we're trained and taught to, um, well, pay for a keyword. And so those keywords in the descriptions and the who, what, when, why, and the way that we storytell, it makes us better at explaining, like putting in a prompt. And a prompt is basically who, what, when, why of what, like I'm trying to explain this so like it's like easy for everybody. A prompt is basically something that you're going to put in to get into an output. So what do you want? Explain it with detail, with keywords, and then the output is going to develop whatever you asked for. Um, and so what I've learned is that marketers have the ability to put in more keywords. So as the for me, the more that I prompt something and describe things, I can get a better output. You're just like good data in, it's good data out. So it's the same thing. Good prompts in, good prompts out. Now, what I did with this was really I was researching and I was thinking about this, and I was like, marketing is not the same. It's just not. Like, I can do copywriting, I can do automation to where, my AI tools are built inside of my internal processes to make it easier for me to create. And the typical marketer role when I was in it, I had like 20 different hats. And that's not efficient, right? Like, how can I make AI agents for all of my different hats to make my job easier? And so the marketing role is now managing the prompts behind these AI agents to
Okay,
help
so
build.
pause for just a minute.
Yeah,
I never heard the phrase AI agent until approximately 1 week ago. In the ensuing week, I have now heard that term about 10 times.
yeah, yeah. It's a new
Partially,
fad term, and you can call them whatever, but I think at first they were just like AI bots that they were creating. And
yeah,
then
so
they
tell us
moved
what
it
an
to the
AI
role.
agent is.
So it's basically, let's think of like fractional CMOs. They're creating a bunch of AI agents for that. The fractional CMO, you can input your idea and then it'll populate the marketing strategy, the pitch, the content that would go with all of that and tell you like the distribution of budget that you should have. So it's
So
going to act as your
is
brain.
it safe to say that an AI agent is essentially an avatar for an app or a program that has a specific function
I would
that
say like, yeah, most definitely it's a persona, right? For what you can build. So
so instead
AI
of going over
agents,
to a graphic designer going, "Hey, I need this," you go over to the app, the agent, the AI agent, and say, "Here's what I need." The prompting is important. That's what we're talking about.
mhm.
What do we call it? What do we call it? Prompt
It's
engineering.
prompt engineer, yeah. So you put the prompt in, you build out the process that you want it to follow, and then it follows and it makes it your business more efficient. So as a marketer, it would take me, let's say I have a new campaign. I need to go and write a marketing strategy. I need to go and write the budget. I need to go and write the content for the campaign. I need to put that into process so it's going to be in like a product management tool. And then I need to give it to the right people to go and present it to the team. All of these things can be done with AI and automation. And in that is one AI agent that can do all of these tasks, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, and the reason I'm breaking it down to kind of into these simple terms is because let's face it, the audience is not an AI expert,
Yeah,
and I think it's very, very intimidating. So I just want to break it down into as human type language as possible. So,
I
like
am working
as
that
an
way too.
example,
Yeah.
historically, if I wanted to create, let's say, a new logo, I would go to a graphic designer, and here's what you can't say to a human graphic designer: "Hey, I want a new logo." That's a very weak prompt. You have
Yes.
to be more specific. So you have to go to them and say, I want a new logo. Here's the color palette I'm looking for. Here's 8 examples of things I kind of like. Let me explain to you what I specifically do and don't like about these. and I'm looking for something that's a little bit more modern that has this kind of typography, blah, 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 prompt, 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 prompt. And then they come back with something that's hopefully very close to what you want. And then you can give them fine tuning feedback. So with the AI agent, it's no different. I think some people have this idea that, oh, here's this AI is just going to do crap for me. So you go over to the AI agent and you're like, hey, I need a logo. And you get a really crappy logo back. But
Yeah.
this prompt engineering is really no different than taking the same hyper detailed instructions you would give to that graphic designer and now giving it to this AI agent. The difference is the AI agent is like giving it to 10,000 graphic designers instead of one graphic designer.
Yeah. It can do that, or it could create like the creative brief that you have to give to your graphic designer. And then you can say, or like, so it can create the logo for you. And then you can give that to the graphic designer and be like, yeah, okay, I like this, but this is like, this is more of what I want. Like it's not replacing humans, right?
Well,
That's the biggest thing. It's like, and it's
here's
not
what I would
replacing
say.
your creativity.
I would say that it is currently not replacing the human. Within 1 to 3 years, I don't need the graphic designer anymore because
Right.
I can literally give it to the AI agent and I can get exactly what I want. Currently, we're
Yeah.
not there. We're getting
Yeah.
close.
Right. Well, you have to have that start trigger, right? Like, what's the input to get the output? So, like, if I want a logo, I have to say I want a logo and like give it like details of the logo. But if I had like a start trigger of like, okay, like I put in somewhere, I don't even know um
Well,
what that
to
start trigger would look like. I'm
use
still
that same
thinking about that in my
example,
head.
if I give that detailed set of instructions to a human graphic designer, here's what's going to happen. They're going to say, oh, okay, let me go to my portfolio over here and let me pull, I don't know, maybe 3 to 10 logos that sort of capture what I think you're asking so I can run this by you and make sure we're on the right path. What the AI agent maybe currently can't do, I think it can a little bit, but in the near future will do is say, okay, here's 25 different versions of the logo you want, not samples from my portfolio, but your logo, which one is closest, and then you start fine tuning from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean a lot of things in just in the world are templatized and people don't understand that, right? Websites are templates. Like people use templates all over the place. And it's okay to use a template, but you're right, you're going to get more variations and more deviations from someone's design practices versus like what could be a new design practice, what could be something different, right? And I just think that's so cool. It's taking your thoughts to the next level and the next level, and you can just keep asking it questions. Um, that's what I find enticing and cool about it. So I test a lot of different softwares and products that are out there. And we work with AI inside of our design systems because we want to elevate jobs, right? We want to evolve jobs. We know, like for me, I know the marketer role. I'm not a marketer in the trades. I am going to be an automation AI specialist, right? Because marketing can be done by AI. Content can be written, pictures can be created, like budgets can be made. I can forecast, I can do all sorts of things, um, which makes my job, if when I was a marketer, it would make it so much easier. But if I have advanced skills of AI, that means that it's enhancing the title. I need to learn it and I need to become it so I get paid to make that jump in my role and I don't get fired because I'm just a marketer. And they're like, "Oh, you just do this." And you're like, "No, no, no. This is my skill."
So
Right?
answer this question for me. Let's take, I'm more familiar with HVAC companies than I am, say, garage doors or pest control. So let's say you go back to like Service Champions of Sacramento, which at the time you were there was a very large company, very well established, had staff to do all kinds of different marketing things. How many jobs will Service Titan handle that formerly had to be handled by humans? In other words, to what extent will this tool allow me to more efficiently run my company with fewer paychecks going out the door.
I don't really know if it's going to be fewer paychecks right now. I think it's going to change their rules into something different. But say if I was starting a new business myself, it would probably be the majority AI. So I would have AI CSRs. I would look into training, even like a Tesla robot to look at the technicians and installers. I would look into Waymo which is self-driving cars.
Yeah.
I would look at everything that has a liability and a person attached to it and say, okay, what will this person be doing to nurture and build this? And I wouldn't be eliminating jobs, I'd be evolving their job. And then somewhere I'd be like, okay, well, now I have an AI CSR call center. Well, maybe it's ran by a couple of people so that they can manage like the bots and the prop behind it.
Okay, so hey, I'm calling it like I see it.
Yeah.
You
I just
just you
eliminated
just
CSRs.
replace X number of call center employees
Yeah.
with AI CSRs.
I did, but what does that make them become, right? And is it I think I ran this prompt and I was like, well, what does the next CSR look like? And I think they called them cars and it was the customer advocacy specialist.
See,
So,
I'm not
yeah.
a person who's super worried about AI taking all the jobs because I think it's just the next evolution of inevitable technology. So, like, if you go back maybe 150 or 200 years, I don't know the exact timing,
Mhm.
the country shifted from an agricultural economy to industrial age. But right before that happened, the agricultural age, it was like, hey, we need 200 people out in the fields doing this. And then, like 10 minutes later, it was like, oh, by the way, we only need two people to run these machines.
Yeah.
So 198 people were no longer needed in the fields. Well, they got fired. Okay. There's no other way to say it. Now, also, what happened is they were displaced and then they went and did something else because they didn't just die.
Hmm.
They had to go, maybe they went and got involved in industrial. So I'm not super concerned. As a business owner, I'm looking at AI. We could sit here and have a conversation like, oh my gosh, AI is going to take these jobs. Let's either minimize that or let's pretend like it's not true. I'm more of the idea that, hey, the more jobs that we can eliminate, the better, because it's going to make the company more profitable. And let's just hope and assume that people will be retrained and do other things. So I'm very interested in it. I love this tool. Maybe you think this sounds bad. I don't know. I love this tool, Service Titan, Marketing Pro, Sales Pro, other domains that you have other add-ons to, because it's making things so much more efficient.
That's the goal in business, right? You need to be automated, you need to be efficient. And it's not like we have these like crazy tools today. It's like where can you as a business owner create these roles of learning more about automation, learning more about AI built into the automation and creating your own AI agents to make your business more automated and efficient. Um, that's really what it's about. Like, is it about replacing people? Look, I'm gonna evolve people just to teach them because that is the next evolution. And like I love people and like people are the power. But at the same time, am I an idiot? And I'm like, hey, it's not gonna replace my job. No, it's gonna replace my job one day. I'm building things to replace myself. That's my goal as a leader. That's my goal as a business owner. That's my goal as anything. I'm replaceable.
Well, you're replaceable, and then you go do something at a higher level. Hopefully,
Yeah,
you evolve to something that is even more valuable than you are now.
yeah.
Isn't that the goal
I
of
just
it?
want to,
That's how
yeah,
life works. You become more
yeah,
valuable.
yeah, most definitely. And so it's like, I don't sit here with a heavy heart and I'm like, oh yeah, the CSRs are going to be replaced. Like the customer is expecting something different. We need to follow like not only their expectations, but we need to create better expectations for the service that we deliver. And if a human has, downfalls in answering a phone call, well, and an AI agent is really what they want to hear, like be where they're at, and you might need both for a little bit to adjust, but AI has been around for forever,
I, I
like.
Well, so here's I had this conversation on a different podcast, but it goes kind of like this. Electricity was invented in approximately 1830,
Hmm.
but it took it until 1930 for all of the devices to be invented, like a toaster, for instance, that everybody actually had in their house. So you
Yeah.
had about 100-year latency of technology evolved, and then how do we actually take this and put the appliances in the house? I think AI is going to go much quicker. It's not going to be a 100-year
No,
thing.
it's
It's going to be
not.
more like a 5 or 10 year thing. But the applications, this is exactly what you're talking about. AI exists. We're ramping up the data centers, we're ramping up the training modules, but you're putting these into this program right now. You're putting the toasters and the vacuum cleaners of the 1930s into, this is a metaphor, into this program right now, into Service Titan. I think
Yeah.
it's very exciting. I'm stoked for this.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about these things and I'm super excited about progress and innovation, right? And even if it's like an internal process, like that internal process will save you time and time is money, but also what could you be doing more with your time, right? Like why do we think that we need to work so hard because I feel like that's the mindset that we have created as a society. Oh, well, you have to work hard. You have to work hard to make a lot of money. Well, in this age and day, like innovation is the key and the person that's first and fastest and just fails forward, like they're gonna win faster than the ones that are not using AI. They're gonna win faster than the marketers that are not using AI, and that the old school marketing way will be left behind.
Yeah, and where this goes in the future, if you believe Elon Musk, and I think you'd be a fool to bet against him, but if you believe Elon Musk, 10 years from now, the air conditioning company is going to purchase their $10,000 humanoid robot technician. They're going to install the Lennox repair algorithm into that robot. And for $300 a month subscription, it's going to replace a $100,000 a year technician.
Yeah, like okay, so I'm a single mom, right? And I'm just thinking of all the things that a robot could do for me in terms of housework. I'm like, cool, do you want to mow my lawn? Well, that's a subscription service I pay for. Do you want to do my pest control? Well, that's a subscription service I pay for. Do you want to do my HVAC? Well, that's a reoccurring maintenance that I pay for, right? Like all of these things. Do you want to clean my house? Cool, that's a reoccurring service event that I pay for. So like all of these add-ons like that we are paying for in this economy like could be done by innovation with technology.
Well, and here's what's funny is I know that Elon Musk is a very hot political topic right now because of
Yeah.
his involvement with Trump and so forth. I don't want to talk about that, but here's what I do want to talk about. He's one of the first people I've seen that had a stated goal and has delivered on the stated goal of, my goal is to make automobiles, talking about Tesla, that are incrementally over time cheaper. Wait a second. What other CEO ever said, I hope that my product over time becomes cheaper? Everybody wants their product over time to become more expensive so you can make more money. And if you look at the technology that goes into that particular category, it's dropping. The battery prices are dropping. The components are dropping. As automation and robotics comes in, the production becomes less and less expensive. And over time, here's what we're going to see: when the robots are fixing the air conditioner, well, that repair just became cheaper. And
Mhm.
what we'll see is a weird thing that's never happened before, which is things become cheaper. But what happens to all the jobs? I don't think anybody really knows the answer to that question yet. But if you believe Elon, he says we end up in almost a Wall-E world. You know Wall-E, the movie?
Yeah, I was like, as long as it's not idiocracy, but then I was thinking about Wall-E too.
Well,
Yeah,
and then you have an existential crisis of people that are rich beyond their wildest dreams. Everything is available for very low money, and so now it's just like, what do I do with my life?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like, yeah, I'm not 100% sure about like what
Who knows?
yeah, who knows? Like as
Also,
long as
there's the 20% chance that AI just kills us all.
right. Who knows? Who knows? Like we're up in the air. It's fine.
Oh, but you know,
Everything's
it's fun
going to be
talking to you as an
fine.
expert. I love your expertise on this
Yeah.
in your
Um,
insights.
yeah, I have no insights on if AI will kill us all or
Not on
if
that, on just on how it works within your product suite
yeah,
and within this industry.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's all fun. Anything else you want to add on AI? Kind of coming back to our actual conversation about how it's working in marketing.
I would just test it. I know that it's scary and I know that it's, new and new bright shiny things can take time to learn, but just put in like a simple sentence and see what you get out. And always my friend Brianna would always say always be testing, always be learning. And it's absolutely true. So, um embrace innovation, stay ahead of the curve and use technology and vendors that are thinking ahead. Um, that would be my advice for anyone.
Awesome. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Well, I host a marketing podcast, so it's the Trademark is my podcast, and they can reach me at the trademarkpodcast@gmail.com, or they can find me anywhere on social media under Sarah Gerardo. I am on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. So
Okay, and I would assume that they can go to their favorite podcast platform and just look for the trademark podcast.
yeah, most definitely, we're on all the channels, and then we'll
Is
be
it
launching
the
again at AHR.
trademark podcast?
So Trademark is has an E at the end, so Trademark with an E
Okay.
at .com. Sorry. I'm
Okay.
thinking,
Go look that up. And Sarah, thank you for your time today. I would love to have you on the podcast again in the future. I think you got a lot of interesting insights. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Have a great day.